Hey everyone, Mark Newstater with eXp Realty. Thursday, November 4th. It is November. Like, where do these months go, Jaden Bax of Avenue Financial?
I do not know it. It's before you know it, it'll be Christmas and then New
Oh,
Year's, and then we're talking about the market for 2022, right?
yeah, exactly. For sure, it's just going so quick. But we today we're going to be looking at our stats for the month of October, just a kind of a brief overview, and then our weekly stats as well. So, without any further ado, and I've always wondered where that term came from. Where did ado come from? Let's
We'll
take a
do
look.
a quick Google and we'll get back to you guys next week.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. So here's our single family detached stats for the week of October 28th to November 4th. Um, so last week was so interesting, right? Because we saw very few new listings come on the market and a lot of sales and a net difference of 251. So this week we kind of went back down to, what we saw 2 weeks ago. So let's take a look. New listings 248, 325 sold, 117 pending. So we had a total sold plus pending of 442, net difference of 194. So yeah, I mean, when I tell you about what happened in October, if you don't already know, I mean, it's going to make sense, right? We're just not seeing, especially on the detached and semi-detached side of things, we're just not seeing a ton of new inventory hitting the market. 148 price reductions. So that's kind of leveled off now. We had that high there 3 weeks ago of 208, 236 back in the beginning of October. And the reality is there was a conversation on the Calgary Realtor Facebook page about a low offer that came in, and the reality is if your home is not selling in 30 to 45 days in this kind of market, you're overpriced. Uh, it's just the harsh reality of it, right? So our job and my job as your realtor is to make sure we come in on a price that is realistic. And it's the stats would show that if you're overpriced, you're eliminating 90% of potential buyers for your property. So it's so important to get the price right. At the beginning, I'll give you one more quip. The friend of mine's broker told him that the best video and the best marketing and the best pictures don't make a less informed buyer. He used a different term for that, but let's say less informed, right? So we can't convince somebody to overpay for a house with marketing. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, we'll take that off the screen. I don't have an updated detached listings, but my guess is actually, let me just pull it here while we're talking. So yeah, I mean, the reality is that you're still going to need to be priced right, but man, what a great time to, yeah. So 1807, that's the number there. So it's down further from last week. And we've just seen the slide, right? From back 5 weeks ago, now 6 weeks ago, at just under 2,500, now down to around 1,800 detached listings. So, I guess it's not surprising to see that happening at this time of year, but what is certainly helping sellers is there's just not inventory replenishing itself. All right, so that is this week. So now let's take a look at October, and this is going to be a slide that I shared on social media, but it'll kind of just give you an idea. Oh, look at that! I'm like overlaying the Saddle Dome with the Saddle Dome. So I'm going to give you also an example of how this is very neighborhood specific. So in Calgary, detached prices up just under 10%, semi-detached up almost 8.5%, row prices up 7.25%, apartment prices actually went up year over year 1.25 points. We had the highest October sales on record ever. It's crazy. And we're now approaching the point where we are like at 10-year highs in sales. And that's reflected in what's happening to pricing. But that I always say it's location specific. So here in Woodbine and Woodlands, where I live, the prices overall, I think on the detached side went up, let's call it 12.5%. And overall prices are really increasing here because we're in an area that I think had been kind of landlocked, if I can use that term, for a long time with lack of access. But now with the ring road, people are kind of rediscovering all these communities on the west side of McLeod Trail, and certainly kind of pushing more towards the ring road. So anyway, enough of me babbling. Still a great time to sell, and it's a good time to buy because of the rates that we're going to show you. I need somebody in the background putting these on while I'm talking.
Yeah,
I'm not a great multitasker at the best of times, so.
And honestly, like the rates are all going to come back to same as last week. You know, rates are continuing to go up. A lot of that 2.24 on a fixed high ratio is probably closer to 2.5% right now.
Yeah.
And we kind of anticipate it's going to stick around that way for a little while. The variable continues to be where it's at 1.15, right? Like if you're comparing a 5-year variable at 1.15 to a 5-year fix, it's probably closer to 2.54, 2.49 right now. You're going up five times, 6 times before you before you hit what the fixed rates are at right now. There's just a lot of good value there. So you know, rates. I think you're going to continue to see fixed rates go up probably until the end of the year. Now that the Canadian government has quit buying bonds, and we don't anticipate to see any raises to prime until sometime next year, maybe late next year. But the problem is that the government also has to do something about inflation, right? So, you know, as that inflation's at 4%, they're looking to have that closer to, you know, between 2 and 3%. So you know, there's different ways to control that, and one of those is to raise interest rates, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 6 to 12 months. Another way to impact inflation is to have cheaper gas prices, right? So, you know, our friendly neighborhood OPEC members could up production and bring gas prices down a bit, and that could have an impact as well. So, really interesting to see. I can't tell you what will happen in the next 6 to 12 months. I can tell you that you have a lot of wiggle room if you're locking into a 5-year at prime minus 1.3 right now. The other thing I wanted to piggyback on what you said a little bit that's interesting. If it's not the price, it's the price. You know, if you're putting down more than 20% and the pricing is wrong from a buyer's side, the lender is going to ask for an appraisal, right? So if they think the pricing is kind of in the neighborhood, they might just auto value it, but they're going to ask for an appraisal. So if that pricing isn't reflected in what's showing in the market, and you know you're selling your place for 350 and it comes in at 325 on the appraisal, the lender is going to lend on it based on a 325 valuation. So
Yeah.
either you have to come up as a buyer with another $25,000, or you're renegotiating with the seller to drop that price down to what the market value is. One thing that people might not know is hello pup, is that
Puppy intrusion.
that's right, is that that can also happen on the insured side. So if the insurer is coming in, they can request an appraisal done by one of their appraisers. And so you could come in, same scenario, come in at 350. You think, well, it's insured, so there's never an appraisal for insured with less than 20% down lending. It's not true. If the insurer wants it, if they don't think that there's actually that value there, they can request it, and it comes out to the same thing. They will only lend on that $325,000 valuation. And so as a seller, you know, you can say, well, no, I absolutely won't accept 325. But if the next buyer that comes along, there's a 1 in 3 chance that they're going to be set with the same insurer who is going to give it a $325,000 valuation, right? So,
Yeah.
like Mark says, the price is the most important thing as you're marketing your home, but it's also important from the buying side as well, because that can give downward pressure back towards what the true price of your home is.
Yeah. Very fascinating how it all ties in, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. So, in recap, if you're just joining us now, thanks for watching, whether it's live on Facebook or YouTube. So, another positive month of October where prices went up again. Inventory is still decreasing, especially on the detached side of things. And variable is the way to go, but lock in if you're looking at something fixed. Is that fair to say?
Fair to say, yeah. You know, I still think if you're sitting at around 2.5% on a 5-year fix, that's still great pricing, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
if you're in your home that you know you're going to be in for the next 5 years for sure, I think, and you don't want to think about what your monthly payment is going to be. Definitely lock into that fixed pricing.
Awesome. We are going to be off next week. I am at a conference. It's also Remembrance Day. So everyone take care and take time on Remembrance Day to remember those that have served and are serving. And we will talk to you in a couple of weeks, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.